Diary entry number 35, When You Start to Feel. Welcome back to the Nervous System Diaries. I want to go a little deeper into therapy and why it can play such an important role in healing. For me, I had been numb to my feelings for so long that I almost forgotten they existed. When I finally got away, it wasn't like I suddenly felt happy. I wasn't tired, I wasn't sad, but I wasn't happy either. It was almost like being stuck inside a wall. I wasn't moving forward, but I wasn't moving backwards either. I was just there. Nobody was yelling at me. Nobody was demanding that I be on my phone. Nobody was telling me to drop whatever I was doing every second of the day. And honestly, it was a really strange time for me. I hadn't been me in so long that I didn't even know what to do with myself. The shelter staff would tell me to focus on housing and not to stay in my room all the time. And I did leave my room a little bit, but I could only handle so much. Staff aren't doctors. They don't necessarily understand what somebody's nervous system has been through. I had been through abuse for 16 years. I couldn't just flip a switch and suddenly become comfortable around people. Socializing was extremely difficult for me. Then there were loud kids, people running around, doors slamming, televisions playing, and too many people moving around all at once. My nervous system was already shot. Loud noises and too many people made my body feel unsafe, so I'd go back to my room. And I think that's something people don't always understand about trauma. Sometimes going back to your room isn't because you don't want to participate. Sometimes it's just because your body is telling you, I don't feel safe here. About 4 months after I left number 2, something happened that brought a lot of fear rushing back. He made a new Facebook account. He commented on one of my only public posts I had left on Facebook. It was a picture I had missed when I deleted him. His message basically said, delete this photo, give me back all my things, give me my dog back. I filed a police report on you. I blocked him and deleted the picture as quickly as I could. I didn't want to engage with him. I sent the screenshot to some of my closest friends because I needed other people's perspective. My best guy friend, who knew everything number 2 had done to me, told me he believed it was a scare tactic. He told me that if number 2 had actually filed a police report, he would be putting himself in a position where questions could be asked him about the abuse I had experienced. He told me, I'm glad you didn't engage him. He said that not responding, I didn't get pulled back into the cycle. My therapist told me she was proud of me too. Did those words mean I wasn't scared? Hell no. I was terrified. I was worried that he actually called the police. I was worried he would find out where I was, and I was worried he would somehow take Pup away from me. It sent me into a really depressive state. I didn't want to socialize at all, but during this time, I was also talking to my therapist about my ex-husband. Healing started making me look at my past differently. My therapist had been helping me work on my inner child. She asked me to name 3 places in my life where I have felt safe. One was my great-grandmother's house. Another was being around animals. And the third was my ex-husband. I told her that we had always been best friends. I never understood exactly what went wrong between us. We both made mistakes. I had tried several times over the years to reach out to him, but I never had enough courage to send the message I had written. My therapist helped me look at that differently. She asked me about the things about him that made me feel safe with him. I told her it was his jokes, the way he protected the people he loved, his caring soul, the way I could be myself around him. She asked me what I thought had messed everything up, and honestly, I couldn't speak for him, but I could speak for myself. I was young. My mother had forced me into adulthood probably way before I was ready, and I hadn't really lived. I was stubborn. I thought I was right all the time, and honestly, I was mean back then because I thought I knew everything. What I didn't understand at the time was how good parts of my life actually were. Aside from the affair and the things that went wrong, I regretted leaving him. I regret taking that relationship for granted. For a long time, I actually thought maybe the abuse I experienced afterwards was something I deserved because of the things I had done. My therapist helped me understand that accountability and punishment aren't the same things. She suggested that maybe someday I could reach out and take accountability for the things I had done and explain some of the things that I had been manipulated into doing. I agreed. Life is too short. But I had no idea how much worse things were about to get at the shelter. This time, it was around 6 months of being into the shelter. It was also Christmas time. My therapist wanted me to do some inner child healing surrounding Christmas. She told me to actually be a child, decorate, spend time with the kids, show them what it's like to have a good Christmas. So I did. We made ornaments. We cooked all the time, baked, and they helped. We decorated the tree, and we even played Elf on the Shelf. I would come up with funny ideas for the elves while everyone seemed to be enjoying it, except for one woman. She was struggling with alcohol and abusing her pain medications, and she was making the shelter uncomfortable for everyone. I was told not to say anything and just let her be and let her keep doing everything. One day, the same lady grabbed my arm for no reason and hurt me. I told staff we weren't allowed to call the police from the shelter, otherwise I would have pressed charges. After that, I felt like things changed. I started feeling like I was being watched. I wondered if the other women were afraid I would tell stuff about them drinking and doing drugs also on the premises, which was strictly against shelter rules. You could come back high or drunk. You just couldn't do it on the property. Then came Christmas Day. I was supposed to help cook, but I was extremely depressed. I made a ham, and that's it. And then I went back inside my room. I felt like the safe little space I had created for myself wasn't safe anymore. Eventually, I came out after I thought everyone had finished eating. One of the children was making South Park figurines out of clay. Two of the women were talking about how South Park was a terrible show, and that he shouldn't watch it. I didn't say anything. I actually went into the family room while my food was heating up. The older brother was in there watching South Park. Go figure. The younger child came in and sat down with him. Again, I didn't say anything. It wasn't my place. The shelter's rules were clear. You don't correct someone else's children. That was the mother's job. Then the mother came into that room and said to me, "Why, after what I just said, are you letting my son watch this?" I was stunned. I hadn't let him do anything. I wasn't his mother. I tried to leave the situation and went back to my room. Instead, both women started texting me and ganging up on me. They told me what a terrible person I was and that I should know better being an adult. I couldn't handle it. I was very overwhelmed and overstimulated and upset. I blocked them. I stayed in my room. I would only come out when I knew they were upstairs so I could use the bathroom. Then I noticed something else. They were also staying downstairs longer in the evenings. That meant I couldn't take Pup outside without running into them. Staff were off during this time, so I figured out how to survive. I would let Pup out through my window to go potty, and then I would lift him back up inside. I'd climb back through my window myself. I did what I had to do. And when staff returned, I was called into the office. I thought they were going to ask me about what happened with the women. They didn't. They asked me about Pup biting one of them. I was floored. Pup had never bitten anyone. He wore his muzzle any time he was outside of our room, because that's what a good dog owner does. When I found out who had made the accusation, I confronted her. I asked her when Pup supposedly bit her. She grinned. I told her to stop grinning because this wasn't funny. She claimed he had bitten her the day I had brought him out around the kitchen counter. That made no sense. He had his muzzle on. He barely even got close to her. She actually told me that day that she wanted to pet him. She kept running around the counter, which was making him more anxious. Staff reviewed the camera and determined that Pup had not bitten anyone, but they told me that because of his growing anxiety, that they believed that it was only a matter of time before he might. Then they gave me a choice: give up Pup or leave. I wasn't giving up my dog. I cried so hard that I passed out in their office. They said they had to talk it over with the director of the shelter and show the evidence. The next day they called me back into the office, and I was immediately upset. They gave me till 11 that morning to pack my things and leave. I texted one of my friends. He paid for Pup and me to stay in a hotel for a few days. He told me he would help more if I needed it. Staff helped me move most of my things into my storage unit because I couldn't take everything to the hotel. I had to throw away all the frozen food I had just bought with my food stamps. Meat, meals, food I had planned to eat. I didn't have anywhere to keep it, and honestly, I didn't want to leave it behind for the women who had essentially gotten me kicked out over a lie. So I threw it in the trash. Staff drove Pup and I to the hotel, and suddenly I was sitting in a hotel room in a state where I didn't know anyone. I had escaped 16 years of domestic violence. I couldn't work. I had no real means of supporting myself, and now I didn't even have a shelter that had been keeping us safe. I made a Facebook post asking for help getting back to my home state. 2 people said that they wanted to help and that they would see what they could do. That week, I had therapy in the hotel room. I told my therapist everything that happened. I think she was angry for me too. She asked me what was I going to do, and I said, I think I need to start telling people that I've hurt. I'm sorry. I wanted to take accountability. I wanted to see what happened. Meanwhile, while I was waiting back to hear from my friends about whether anyone could help Pup or me get back home, one friend said she could come get me, but she needed to talk to her husband. He decided it would cost too much. Another friend offered something completely different. She said I could come stay with her husband, and their children. I could help care for their dogs and their house in exchange for staying there. I thought, perfect. Maybe this was my next step. But there was one other thing I needed to do first. I needed to write a message to my ex-husband. I had no idea if he would even answer me or if he would block me. And that's where we'll pick up tomorrow. If no one has told you today, I'm proud of you for surviving when you had nothing or nowhere else to turn. I'm happy you're here. Come back tomorrow for another diary entry. I'm a soft-spoken survivor, and this is the Nervous System Diaries.